A cursed wedding gift ruins a couple's marriage until a pastor reveals the source and delivers them, leading to the birth of twins. Jay took the gift box, and as he and Leah opened it, what they saw inside sent shivers down their spines. "Good heavens!" Leah shouted. "Who could have brought such an evil gift to our wedding?" Years ago, when Jay proposed to Leah and asked her to be his wife, it was the happiest moment of her life. Jay, a banker, and Leah, a fresh graduate, had been dating for nearly 5 years. Leah had always dreamt of the day they would finally get married and start a family together. They met when Leah went to the bank to resolve an issue with her account. Jay was the banker who assisted her that day. He had never seen anyone so beautiful and graceful. From that moment, he knew he had found a wife. Their 5 years of dating and courtship were filled with bliss and love. After the proposal, Leah went home that night floating on air. She excitedly shared the good news with her parents. "When is he coming with his people to make the final introduction?" Leah's mother, Diane, asked with a big smile. Jay's parents were equally delighted when he told them about the engagement. They had grown quite fond of Leah over the years and welcomed her into their family with open arms. A date was quickly set for their grand, traditional, and white wedding ceremonies to take place just a few months later. Their wedding day was everything Leah had imagined and more. She was absolutely the happiest, most radiant bride. Families, friends, colleagues, and well-wishers came from far and near to share in their joy, bearing gifts for the new couple. The venue was beautifully decorated, the food was delicious, and the celebration was full of dancing, laughter, and love. Everyone ate, drank, celebrated, and enjoyed themselves late into the evening before retiring to their respective homes. After all the guests had departed, Leah was finally ready to depart with Jay as his wife. However, before they left, Diane had requested that the local church pastor come to pray over the new couple, bless their marriage and their gifts and luggage one last time before they start this new journey. But Leah was too excited and anxious to get on the road, so they thanked her and promised to have the pastor pray another time, which never happened anyway. Diane did her daughter and new son-in-law farewell with tears of joy, wishing them a happy, fruitful, and blessed marriage life filled with prosperity, children, and companionship until the very last end. However, the opposite of Diane's well wishes happened almost immediately. As soon as the couple entered the home, Jay had prepared for them and arranged their wedding gifts and Leah's luggages. Trouble started brewing. First, Jay complained loudly that Leah had brought too many belongings into the house. "Do you plan to bring your entire village into my home?" he asked sharply. He even crudely asked if her parents had sold her to him since she seemed to think she could bring all her possessions into the house. Leah was quite surprised and taken aback. Jay had never spoken to her in such a disrespectful manner before. As they sat down to eat their first dinner together as a married couple, another issue came up. Why are you chewing so loudly and smacking your lips like that? Jay asked with a look of disgust. Since when did the way I eat become a problem for you? Leah replied, equally confused by the criticism over something so normal. Just like that, the tiniest issue quickly escalated out of control. They began arguing, shouting insults, and calling each other awful names. They fought bitterly all through the night. Leah cried herself to sleep, unable to understand what was happening. This was definitely not the man she had married earlier that day. This angry, mean person was a total stranger. By daybreak, it was as if Jay had come back to his senses. He approached Leah with an apology. They made up and made love that following morning. When Jay returned home from work that evening, Leah had prepared his favorite delicious native soup and swallow for him. She welcomed him with a warm hug and kiss and served him his food. But as soon as Jay tasted the soup, he let out a loud scream that startled Leah. The salt in the soup is way too much. Are you trying to kill me? He shouted angrily. But darling, the salt is quite moderate. I tasted it myself and it's perfect, Leah said, trying to remain calm. Before she could blink, Jay gave her a hot slap on her left cheek. How dare you call me a liar, stupid woman? He yelled in her face. He then stomped out of the dining room, leaving Leah on the floor, cradling her stinging, swollen cheek and sobbing uncontrollably. Was this her Jay? The same man who had never raised a hand to her during their 5 years courtship was now beating her just days after saying their vows. What was happening? And so it continued for days and weeks after that. Jay and Leah constantly had one problem or another, fighting and shouting at each other every single day over the slightest thing. 1 month after their wedding, Leah discovered she was pregnant. She was overjoyed. Finally, something truly joyful had come out of this marriage that seemed to be falling apart. Jay was also excited about the pregnancy news since he was going to become a father. For a few short days, things went back to relatively normalcy, with no more yelling, cursing, or fighting. It was just like it was or used to be before the wedding. However, their newfound peace and happiness were short-lived. Leah woke up one morning a few weeks later to find herself soaked in blood from the waist down. She had lost the baby. When she tearfully told Jay about the miscarriage, instead of being understanding, he turned against her and accused her of being careless and killing his unborn child. That day, he gave Leah the beating of her life. Leah cried and cried from the physical and emotional pain. She couldn't take it anymore, so she decided to visit her parents. When Leah narrated everything she had been going through to her mother, Diane, the older woman felt genuine pity for her daughter and disappointed in Jay's cruel behavior. "I can't stay any longer, Mama. I want to leave Jay. I want a divorce," Leah declared, showing Diane the wounds all over her body from Jay's most recent beating. "Shut up your mouth. Do you want my enemies to laugh at me because my daughter couldn't stay in her husband's house?" Diane scolded. "Listen to me, Leah. No marriage is perfect. I have been enduring many troubles here with your father for years and years. But divorce is never the answer. You must persevere," Diane admonished her daughter. "Don't ever mention divorce again. Do you hear me, Leah?" Diane concluded firmly. She believed that no matter how bad the situation, a woman must endure and make her marriage work after all costs. Leaving one's husband was seen as a great shame and failure. With a heavy heart, Leah returned to Jay and continued enduring what had become a one-day, one-trouble marriage. If you follow this story right up to this end, it means you really enjoyed it. So why not hit the notification bell, subscribe to my YouTube channel,